Harper Winslow never imagined her quiet suburban street would become a stage for her worst nightmare. The late afternoon sun was soft over the tiny front yard, turning the patchy grass gold. She stood on the concrete path in an oversized t-shirt, one arm wrapped around her 5-month-old son, Mason, the other hand resting on her swollen 7-month belly. For a moment, everything was still. Then she saw the baseball bat in Derek's hand. Her husband stepped out of the garage like he owned the world. The ashwood bat dangled from his fingers, tapping lightly against his boot as he walked. Behind him, Sloane Carter leaned against the hood of Derek's gray Mercedes, scrolling her phone, a lazy smile playing at her lips. She looked up, met Harper's eyes, and laughed under her breath like this was a show she had been dying to see. "Put the baby down and go inside," Derek said, his voice low and dangerous. "We're having this out today." Harper's heartbeat sounded louder than the cars passing on the next street. Mason fussed against her chest, sensing the tension. She adjusted his little blue blanket, the one she bought on clearance after counting coins from a tip jar. "I'm not going inside," she answered softly. "You were supposed to be at work, Derek. Instead, you're here, drinking with her. Again. I can smell it on you from the porch." Sloane's giggle floated across the yard like smoke. "Wow, she really is dramatic," Sloane murmured. "You didn't say she'd be entertaining." Derek's jaw flexed. The bat swung once in the air, just enough to make Harper step back. Her heel caught the uneven edge of the path. Pain shot up her back. She tightened her hold on Mason, whispering, "It's okay, baby. Mommy's got you. Mommy's right here." "You don't tell me where I can drink in my own house," Derek snapped. "You don't tell me who I can invite over. You don't tell me anything, Harper. You don't pay the mortgage. You don't bring in $1. "I work nights at the clinic," she said, voice trembling. "Every shift I'm on my feet, pregnant, so we can buy diapers and formula when you forget. I'm trying, Derek. I'm doing everything I can." He took another step, close enough now that she could see the tiny flecks of anger in his eyes, the same eyes that once looked at her like she was a miracle, now burned like cold metal. Sloane folded her arms, chewing her gum slowly, as if she were in a movie theater with front-row seats. "Trying isn't enough," Derek said. "You called my boss, didn't you? You told him I was using company cards. You think I don't know? You think I'm stupid?" Harper's throat went dry. She hadn't called anyone. She hadn't even had access to a phone that wasn't monitored. Somewhere in the house, a small red light blinked on the security camera Derek had installed for protection. Harper had never believed that explanation, but she never imagined those quiet little lenses might be the only witnesses willing to take her side. Mason began to cry. A thin, desperate wail that sliced through the heavy August air. Harper rocked him gently, praying Derek would back down, praying the neighbors would notice, praying someone, anyone, would step in. No one moved. Derek raised the bat, and in the distance, a black SUV she didn't recognize turned slowly onto their street. Harper never understood how love could rot so quietly. The man she had once trusted with every bone in her body wasn't always a monster carrying a baseball bat. Years earlier, Derek had been a charming warehouse supervisor with a shy smile and a habit of opening doors for strangers. Harper met him during a night shift at the pediatric clinic, when he came in with a sprained wrist from lifting boxes. He made the nurses laugh, flirted shyly, and thanked Harper for wrapping his arm with the gentleness of someone who truly appreciated kindness. She hadn't grown up with much of it. Back then, Harper thought she had found a soft place to land. She believed Derek saw her. Really saw her, not the quiet girl with second-hand sneakers, not the girl whose mother died young, not the girl who was told her father passed away in a car accident before she ever learned his face. Derek made her feel chosen. She was 22, lonely, and too hopeful for her own good. The wedding came fast, the pregnancy faster, and the unraveling fastest of all. The first red flag had been financial. Derek said a man should look after the important things, which apparently meant locking Harper out of their bank accounts and putting her on a strict weekly allowance. Then came the rules about who she could talk to. Then came the cracked phone screen he refused to replace. "No need for you to be scrolling all night," he said, pocketing the device like he was confiscating a toy. Harper convinced herself this was temporary, stress-related. She kept telling herself that good men sometimes break under pressure. But the good man she married slowly disappeared, replaced by someone colder, sharper, and frighteningly unpredictable. He drank more. He worked less. He blamed her for the bills, for the crying baby, for his own exhaustion. On some nights, he yelled until Mason sobbed in her arms. On others, he didn't come home at all. Harper learned to sleep in 10-minute stretches, her body wired like a deer in the woods, always listening for the sound of tires in the driveway. Then came Sloane. The day Harper saw that unfamiliar lipstick on Derek's collar, the world tilted under her feet. Sloane Carter was everything. Harper wasn't bold, polished, attention-seeking, dressed in outfits Harper couldn't dream of affording. She arrived slowly at first, just a friend from work, then a shadow lingering around their porch, then a constant presence dancing in Derek's orbit. Sloane smiled with perfect white teeth, acting sweet around neighbors while sneering at Harper the moment no one looked. It didn't take long for Harper to realize Sloane wasn't just replacing her in Derek's life. She was feeding his darkest impulses. Still, Harper stayed. Not because she was naive, those days were over, but because she had nowhere else to go. Derek had isolated her so thoroughly that even the clinic reduced her hours when he caused scenes in the parking lot. Harper clung to the hope of finishing her nursing certification one day, but hope was a brittle thing in a house built on fear. When baby Mason arrived early, small and fragile in her arms, Harper thought motherhood would soften Derek. Instead, it made him resent her more. "You're no fun anymore," he said 2 weeks after the birth, grabbing his keys to meet friends. She learned not to expect help, not to expect warmth, not to expect anything except survival. Now, as she stood in that yard with her son, crying against her chest and the man she once loved gripping a bat, Harper felt the weight of every choice, every compromise, every bruise hidden under loose sleeves. She had stayed too long. She had forgiven too much. But today felt different, like the ground itself was shifting. And inside the house, unnoticed by all of them, a small blinking camera uploaded every second of Derek's rage to a server owned by a man Harper didn't know was still alive. The afternoon heat pressed down on Harper's skin like a warning, thick and heavy, making every breath feel shorter than the one before. Derek's knuckles tightened around the bat as he stepped closer, and with each inch he closed between them, Harper felt her past choices collapse like a deck of cards stacked too high. Mason whimpered, clutching her shirt with tiny fingers, still learning the shape of the world. She shifted him higher on her hip, whispering soft reassurance even though her own voice trembled. "Don't walk away from me," Derek growled. "You think you can embarrass me in my own neighborhood?" "I didn't do anything," Harper said, keeping her tone low, steady, the way she spoke to frightened children at the clinic. "I just came outside because Mason needed air. That's all." "That's all," Derek mocked, turning her words into something ugly. "You always have excuses, always trying to make me look like the bad guy." Sloane let out a bored sigh as she leaned across the hood of the Mercedes, her perfectly manicured nail tracing lazy circles on the windshield. "Derek, babe, just handle it. We're wasting daylight." Harper's jaw tightened. "Handle it." The phrase dropped like a stone into her stomach. Sloane said it casually, almost playfully, like suggesting he take out the trash instead of threatening the mother of his children. Harper didn't know which part stung more, the cruelty or the ease with which Sloane delivered it. She took a step back, feeling the cracked concrete beneath her barefoot heel. She hadn't even had time to grab shoes before stepping outside. Mason's cries grew louder, and Harper fought the urge to run, knowing full well she couldn't outrun Derek or the trap he had built around her life. "This is insane," she murmured. "We have a baby, Derek. 2. Actually, one in my arms and one inside me. Doesn't that matter to you at all?" His laugh was sharp, humorless. "Maybe I didn't ask for all that responsibility. Maybe I wanted a wife who wasn't always whining or sick or tired." A familiar shame washed through her chest. The fatigue, the nausea, the dizzy spells she'd been struggling for months, but she hadn't dared complain. She had a baby who barely slept, and a pregnancy harder than the first. Still, she woke every morning praying that if she just tried harder, smiled more, stayed quieter, Derek would stop being angry. He never did. The sun dipped lower, throwing long shadows across the yard. Harper's gaze flicked toward the street, where the unfamiliar black SUV she'd noticed earlier slowed again near the curb. Tinted windows, polished exterior, the engine too smooth to belong to anyone in this neighborhood. Strange. Out of place, moving too deliberately. Derek didn't notice. His focus was locked on Harper, eyes narrowed, posture braced, shoulders coiled with tension. "You ruined my life," he spat. You trapped me with these kids. You think I'm stupid? Harper inhaled sharply. No. I think you're angry, and I think you're hurting us because you don't know what else to do. Us? Sloane scoffed. He doesn't want you. He's with me now. God, Harper, take a hint. Harper swallowed the ache rising in her throat. She knew Derek had been drifting toward darkness long before Sloane arrived, but now Sloane's presence made everything louder, sharper, more dangerous. Her eyes rose again toward the SUV. It had stopped. The engine cut. The door cracked open just an inch. Something shifted in the air, subtle but unmistakable, like the moment before a storm breaks open the sky. And yet Derek was too wrapped in rage to sense it. He lifted the bat, voice rising. I'm done talking. You're gonna listen today. Harper tightened her hold on Mason and braced herself. Because the man stepping out of that SUV wasn't coming by accident, and Derek was seconds away from finding out why. The man stepping out of the black SUV wasn't tall or intimidating at first glance. He moved with a calm that didn't match the tension in the yard, closing the door with a soft click. A breeze rustled the hem of his tailored jacket, the kind you didn't see in this neighborhood not unless someone was lost or hiding something. His hair was silver at the temples, neatly brushed back, and he wore dark sunglasses, even though the sun was sinking. Something about him felt deliberate, measured, almost surgical. Harper didn't recognize him, but something about the way her heart kicked in her chest made her freeze. Mason whimpered, burying his face in her neck. Derek finally noticed the stranger and turned sharply, bat lowered, but not forgotten. The hell do you want? Derek barked. This is private property. The man didn't answer right away. He scanned the scene, Harper trembling, clutching a crying infant, Derek gripping a bat, Sloane lounging like a spectator at a violent sport. Then his gaze fixed on Harper. He removed his sunglasses slowly, revealing eyes an unsettling shade of storm gray. Eyes that seemed to know her. I'm looking for Harper Winslow, he said quietly. Her breath snagged. I'm Harper, Sloane snorted. Oh, fantastic, another stray admirer. Honey, she's married, and busy ruining Derek's life. The man didn't give Sloane a glance. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, but his voice remained calm. You shouldn't be out here, he said to Harper. Not in your condition. You and the child need to step back. Derek laughed short, sharp, deadly. Buddy, I don't know who you think you are, but she doesn't go anywhere unless I say so. Then he lifted the bat again. The man's eyes darkened, not with fear, but with recognition. He breathed out once, steady. Derek Winslow, he said, voice dropping, you need to put that weapon down before this escalates. Now Derek hesitated. How do you know my name? Because I've been watching you, the man replied. Longer than you realize. Sloane straightened at that, the smugness draining from her face. Wait. Watching? Like cops? Derek, do you owe money to? Shut up, Derek hissed. But he was rattled. Harper felt her pulse racing. The stranger wasn't a cop. His posture wasn't law enforcement. His presence wasn't threatening, yet everything about him radiated power. Quiet power. The kind that didn't need shouting to be obeyed. He stepped closer, just enough that Derek instinctively backed up half a step. You've crossed several lines, the man said softly. Financial, legal, and moral. And today, you crossed the last one. Harper shivered. Who are you? He looked at her, really looked at her, as if memorizing every detail of her face. Something flickered behind his eyes, sadness, regret, recognition. My name is Donovan Hale, he said. The world narrowed to a pinpoint. Harper's lungs forgot how to work. Donovan Hale. A name she had heard only once in her life. The name on her birth certificate under father. The name her mother had whispered before she died, followed by, he can never know about you. Her vision blurred. That's impossible. You're supposed to be dead, Donovan finished. No, very much alive. Derek blinked. Wait, this is your dad? He turned to Harper with disbelief. You never said your dad was some rich guy. I didn't know, she whispered. Donovan continued, gentle but firm. Harper, I didn't know you survived. I didn't know you existed outside the lies someone fed me. But I've been looking for you for 26 years. The yard went silent, except for Mason's soft, hiccuping sobs. Then Derek snapped. You don't get to take her. She's my wife. She's staying here. Donovan's expression finally changed, sharpening, solidifying into something lethal. "No," he said, "she isn't." And from behind the SUV, the first of Donovan's armed bodyguards stepped into view silently, efficiently, and ready. Derek's face drained of color the moment the first bodyguard stepped into the fading light. The man was massive, broad shoulders, tactical posture, the kind of presence that made even confident men straighten up. Then a second guard appeared, then a third. Silent, disciplined, all in black, forming a wall behind Donovan Hale like he was someone important enough to move armies. Sloane stumbled back against the Mercedes. "Derek, what is this? Who is he?" Derek didn't answer. His eyes darted from the bodyguards to the bat in his hand, as if weighing whether he could still control the situation with intimidation. He couldn't. The moment he stepped backward, Harper exhaled shakily, clutching Mason tighter. A thin stripe of red from Derek's earlier grip still marked her arm, and Donovan's gaze flicked to it, darkening with unmistakable fury. "Put the weapon down," Donovan said. His voice stayed calm, but the air around him seemed to thicken, as if the yard itself understood the shift of power. Derek tried to laugh, but it came out brittle. "You think you can just walk in here with your goons and take my wife? She belongs here. She belongs with me. I provide for this family." Harper flinched at that lie. Derek hadn't paid a single bill in months. Donovan stepped forward just enough that Derek felt the threat without being touched. "Your wife," he said evenly, "is standing there barefoot, pregnant, bruised, and holding a crying infant while you advance on her with a baseball bat. You are no provider, Mr. Winslow. You are a danger." Sloane swallowed hard. "Derek, maybe we should." "Shut up," Derek snapped. That was his last mistake. One of the guards moved not fast, not slow, just decisive, closing the distance between them in seconds. He didn't draw a weapon. He didn't raise a fist. Instead, he simply placed a hand on the bat and twisted. Derek yelped like a child, and the bat clattered to the ground. "Sir," the guard said politely to Donovan, "the scene is secure." Harper stared, breath shaky, adrenaline pulsing like electricity through her limbs. For the first time in years, the fear in her chest flickered, and something else took its place. Something she hadn't felt since she was a girl listening to her mother say, "One day, you'll understand why you're stronger than the world thinks." Derek clutched his wrist. "This is illegal. This is trespassing. You can't take her. She's my—" "Enough." Donovan's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Harper, I'm asking, not ordering. Do you want to come with me? You and your children will be protected. Fully. I will take you away from this." Harper's throat tightened. "Why now?" she whispered. "Why show up today, after all these years?" "Because today," Donovan said gently, "a security alert triggered on my encrypted system. A video feed appeared your feed. Someone put cameras in your yard, someone else hacked them, and I saw you." Harper blinked. "Cameras? Hacked?" Her mind spun. Donovan continued, "I didn't know where you were. I didn't know you needed me. But the moment I saw my daughter being threatened pregnant, holding my grandson, nothing in this world could have stopped me from coming." Derek let out a hoarse shout. "She's not going anywhere with you. Harper, you take one step and—" A guard moved again, blocking Derek completely. Harper looked at Donovan, then at the guards, then at Derek, the man who had taken everything from her except the will to survive. Her voice trembled. "I want to go." Sloane gasped. Derek froze. Donovan nodded once. "Then let's get you out of here." And as Harper stepped toward the SUV, a second vehicle screeched onto the street, someone else arriving, someone Derek hadn't expected, someone who would change everything again. The second vehicle skidded to a stop so violently that gravel sprayed across the asphalt. Harper instinctively stepped back, clutching Mason tighter, as Donovan motioned for his guards to form a protective semicircle around her. The car, a dented silver sedan, nothing like the sleek SUV Donovan arrived in, threw open its driver's door before the engine even died. A woman stumbled out. Thin, wiry, breathless, her hair pulled into a messy bun like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes, sharp, frantic, were fixed on Derek. "Where is she?" the woman screamed. "Where is my baby?" Harper froze. Sloane's jaw dropped. "Oh my God, you didn't." Derek's entire body stiffened. His lips parted, but no sound came out. The woman pointed at him with a shaking hand. "You told me you'd bring her back to me. You promised. Derek, where is she?" Donovan's head tilted subtly, studying the scene. His guards shifted, prepared for anything. Harper's heartbeat thundered in her ears. The woman's voice cracked. "Where is my daughter, Derek?" Harper's stomach turned cold. Derek finally found words, jagged, panicked. "She's crazy. Don't listen to her. She's nothing. She's some addict who keeps showing up." "That's a lie," she shrieked. "You took her. You said you'd help me get clean. You said you'd keep my baby safe." A sickening realization dawned on Harper. Derek had been coming home late, spending cash he didn't have, taking mysterious drives to clear his head. And the one time Harper had asked where he'd been, he'd exploded with unusual fury. But nothing prepared her for the woman's next words. "You said you'd bring her back once I signed the papers. Derek, you swore you weren't going to sell her." Harper's legs nearly buckled. Donovan caught her by the arm, steady but gentle. "Harper," he murmured, "breathe." But she couldn't, not properly. Not when the truth, whatever truth this was, felt worse than any beating Derek could deliver. Derek lunged toward the woman, hissing under his breath. "Get out of here before you ruin everything." One of Donovan's guards intercepted him, gripping his shoulder and forcing him back. The woman sobbed, gripping the car door for balance. "Where is she? Derek, where is my baby girl?" Sloane, looking paler than ever, muttered, "You told me she was your cousin's kid." Harper's world blurred for a moment. What is she talking about? "Derek, what did you do?" Derek shot Harper a glare so venomous it made her step back. "Shut up, Harper. You don't know anything. Stay out of it." "She can't stay out of it," Donovan said sharply. "If you trafficked a child, Mr. Winslow, that is no longer a domestic dispute. That is federal." The color drained from Derek's face. "I didn't. I never. She's lying." The woman collapsed to her knees. "Please, someone help me. He took my baby. I don't know where he hid her." Harper's horror deepened. The Derek she knew, violent, cruel, manipulative, was already a nightmare, but a man capable of this. She felt her baby kick inside her belly, as if sensing the danger. Derek tried to bolt. 2 guards slammed him against the hood of the Mercedes before he made it 3 steps. "Let me go," he barked. "Don't touch me. You don't know what you're doing." Donovan stepped forward. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing." Harper swallowed hard. "Donovan, is this true? Did Derek take that woman's baby?" Donovan looked at her with an expression that was equal parts heartbreak and fury. "We'll find out." "But Harper," his voice softened, "this is no longer just about saving you." Harper held Mason tighter, her breath unsteady. Because, whatever Derek had done, it was far worse than any of them imagined, and the consequences were only beginning to unfold. Harper's pulse hammered against her ribs as Derek struggled under the guard's restraint, thrashing like a cornered animal. The woman on her knees kept sobbing, her voice breaking on every word. Donovan signaled for one of his men to help her up, and the guard gently guided her toward the curb. Harper could see now beneath the exhaustion and panic the woman was young, maybe only 25. Too young to be carrying this kind of grief. "What's your name?" Donovan asked softly. "Leela," she whispered. "My baby. Her name is Ava. She's only 8 months old." He said he could help me. He said he'd watch her while I got clean. I didn't know he was lying. I didn't know he was going to sell her. "Stop talking," Derek shouted, but a guard's hand pressed him firmly back down. Harper felt the world tilt. "Derek, did you really take her baby?" Derek spit on the pavement. "Why do you care? You can barely handle the kids you have." Harper recoiled like he'd struck her. Mason whimpered, and she kissed his forehead, her eyes stinging. How had she ever loved this man? How had she not seen the shadows he carried? "Lila," Donovan said, steady and compassionate, "do you know where he took Ava?" She shook her head desperately. "He mentioned someone. A buyer. A woman named, no, I can't remember. It started with M, or maybe it was, oh God, I don't know." Sloane suddenly backed up a step. "Derek, you told me you were storing furniture for your cousin. You had me watching that storage locker. Please tell me it wasn't." Derek's glare shot toward her. "Don't say another word." But Sloane kept talking, her voice rising with panic. "You said you didn't want Harper finding out about the locker. You said she'd ruin everything if she saw what was inside." Harper felt a cold rush of dread. She'd always wondered why Derek freaked out whenever she drove past the row of storage units near the freeway. Donovan's eyes sharpened. "Which storage facility?" Sloane trembled. "The one off Redwood Avenue, Unit 3F. Derek has the only key. Derek's scream tore from his throat. "Shut up, Sloane. You're going to get us both killed." One of the guards retrieved a jangling ring of keys from Derek's pocket with unceremonious efficiency. Harper clutched Mason, heart thundering. If that baby was in that locker alone, scared, abandoned, there wasn't a second to lose. "We're going," Donovan commanded. He turned to his guards. "Secure him. Bring him with us. We may need information on site." Derek thrashed harder. You can't take me anywhere. Harper, tell them, I'm your husband. You owe me." Harper's voice came out quiet, steady, and sharper than she intended. "I don't owe you anything anymore." For the first time, Derek showed something like fear. Donovan moved closer to Harper, speaking gently. "Harper, you and Mason should come with us. It may not be safe to stay here." She nodded, adjusting her hold on the baby. Every instinct inside her roared to follow Ava's trail. No child deserved to be left behind, not when she knew exactly what abandonment felt like. But as she stepped toward the SUV, Lila grabbed her arm with trembling fingers. "Please," she begged. Eyes wild, desperate. "Please find my daughter. I don't care what happens to me. Just don't let him get away with this." Harper squeezed her hand. "We'll find her, I promise." Donovan placed a hand on Harper's shoulder, guiding her toward the open SUV door. But before she could climb in, a guard ran up, phone in hand, breathless. "Sir, urgent update. The storage unit. It just pinged motion on the inside." Donovan stiffened. Harper's heart stopped. And somewhere across town, in a locked metal box, something or someone had just moved. The convoy sped down the freeway with a precision that made Harper's skin prickle. Donovan's SUV led the formation, followed by 2 black tactical vehicles carrying guards, and Derek, handcuffed and still cursing through a split lip, one of the guards had finally grown tired of listening to. Harper sat in the back seat beside Mason's car seat, her hands trembling as she watched the city lights blur past. Every bump in the road made Mason stir, and each small movement felt like a knife twisting deeper into her chest. Somewhere, another baby was trapped in the dark, and every second mattered. Donovan glanced at her through the rearview mirror. "Harper, are you feeling all right? You're pale." "I'm fine," she whispered. I can't stop thinking about Ava. How scared she must be." His voice softened. "We'll reach the unit in 6 minutes. My men will get her out." Harper bit her lip. "She's only 8 months old, alone in a metal box." "What if—" "Don't go there," Donovan said gently. "Hold on to hope. Hope." The word felt fragile, like thin glass between her palms. When the convoy exited onto Redwood Avenue, the storage facility loomed ahead, a long row of steel units behind a chain-link fence topped with rusted barbs. The place looked abandoned, lit only by 2 flickering lamps that cast long shadows across the gravel lot. Donovan's guards moved fast, cutting the lock on the gate, guiding the vehicles inside with silent efficiency. Harper stepped out of the SUV, tightening the blanket around Mason. The air felt colder here, heavier, as if the ground itself absorbed suffering. A guard jogged over. "Unit 3, F is at the far end. Thermal sensors detect movement inside, but no heat signature strong enough to confirm an adult." Harper swallowed. "So she might still be alive." "Very likely," the guard said. Derek, dragged out of the second vehicle, tried to twist free. "Don't open that door. You don't understand." "Oh, we understand perfectly," Donovan replied. "Hold him." 2 guards pinned him against the hood of their SUV, while Donovan, Harper, and 3 others hurried down the narrow corridor of metal doors. The number 3F appeared in the dim light. A faint sound carried from within, barely audible, but unmistakable. A cry. Harper's knees nearly buckled. "That's her." Donovan nodded at the lead guard. "Open it." The guard inserted the newly retrieved key, but the lock jammed. He cursed under his breath, then stepped aside and signaled for the breaching tool. Another guard swung the hydraulic spreader into place, the metal jaws biting down. The door screeched, then popped with a violent clang. The smell hit them first, stale air, fear, something metallic. Then the crying grew louder. Inside, illuminated by the guard's flashlight, sat a small plastic crib. No blankets, no toys. Just an 8-month-old baby girl in a yellow onesie, red-faced and sobbing until her whole body shook. Harper pressed a hand to her mouth as tears finally spilled down her cheeks. "Oh God, she's alive." The guard lifted Ava gently, checking her breathing, her pulse, her limbs. She's dehydrated but stable, no visible injuries. Donovan exhaled, the tension in his shoulders dropping. Thank God. But before Harper could fully absorb the relief, another guard sprinted toward them, panic in his voice. Sir, you need to hear this. We found something else in the unit. Harper blinked. Something else? The guard held up a small metal lockbox, smeared with dirt. Inside were documents, dozens of them. Donovan opened the first file and froze. Harper's name was on it. And then the next. And the next. And the next. All detailing years of surveillance, financial manipulation, planned custody theft, and a chilling final page titled, Transfer of Minor Child. Mason Winslow. Harper's heart stopped. Derek hadn't planned to sell just one baby, he had been planning to take hers too. Harper stared at the stack of documents as if they were dripping poison. The cold metal box weighed heavily in Donovan's hands, but the weight inside it, the truth crushed her far more. Her name scribbled across files she had never seen. Mason's name typed under Transfer of Minor Child. Medical records, employment logs, copies of her ID Derek must have stolen from drawers. Even grainy photographs of her walking to work, carrying groceries, rocking Mason on the porch. Her entire life catalogued like inventory. A dry sob clawed its way out of her throat. He was planning to take Mason, my baby. He was going to. Donovan stepped closer, voice low and controlled. Harper, look at me. He didn't succeed. You're here. Mason's safe. But he tried, she whispered, trembling. He really tried. Before Donovan could respond, a guard approached with Ava, now wrapped snugly in a black tactical jacket. The baby's cries had softened to hiccups. Lila sprinted toward them from the entrance of the corridor where another guard had been comforting her. The moment she saw her daughter, her knees buckled, but she didn't collapse. She surged forward instead, arms outstretched, tears spilling freely. Oh my God, Ava, baby, Mommy's here, Mommy's here. Harper watched, throat tight, heart aching. Relief flooded the dim walkway, warm and bright, but it didn't erase the horror of what Derek had done. It didn't erase the images burned into her mind. Behind them, Derek yelled, You think you can pin this on me? Those documents aren't real. She forged them. She set me up. They're lying. The guard restraining him shoved him against the SUV again. Quiet. But Derek kept spitting lies like venom. She wanted a better life, that's all. You don't understand. Someone paid me, someone paid big. I was just... Harper's head snapped up. Someone paid you? Derek's eyes widened. He'd said too much. Donovan crossed the distance between them in 2 sharp steps. Who paid you? His tone dropped into something lethal. Name. Now. Derek clamped his jaw shut, fear flashing through his eyes. One guard twisted his arm, not enough to break it, just enough to remind him resistance was useless. Derek let out a strangled shout. I don't know his real name, he barked. He just called himself Morgan Pierce, or Price Pierce, I think. He said rich people pay a lot for kids with clean medical backgrounds. Harper's blood ran cold. Donovan inhaled through his nose. Morgan Pierce? You know him? Harper asked, voice shaky. Donovan looked at her with an expression she had never seen before, part rage, part recognition. He used to be a business partner, a dangerous one. He vanished after a federal investigation. If he's resurfacing. Donovan exhaled slowly. This just became bigger than Derek. Harper's skin prickled. He wanted Mason too? Derek sneered. Why not? Babies make money. A guard slammed Derek's face against the hood again. Enough. Harper held Mason tighter, throat closing. Her son had been one signature. One night, one heartbeat away from being stolen forever. Donovan turned to her, gently brushing hair from her face like a father who'd missed decades of chances to protect her. Harper, you're coming with me. Tonight, no argument. My estate is secured, guarded, and off limits to men like Derek or Pierce. Harper blinked. Your estate? In Beverly Hills? Yes, Donovan said softly. You're home now, until you decide otherwise. For a moment, Harper couldn't breathe. After years of fear, hunger, isolation, someone was offering safety. Real safety. The kind she hadn't known since she was a child. But before relief could settle, a guard rushed forward from the far end of the corridor. Sir, you need to come see this. In the unit next door, we found another box. And this one, he hesitated, has birth certificates. Lots of them. And one of them isn't Harper's. Donovan stiffened. Whose is it? The guard swallowed. Harper's unborn child. Harper staggered. Derek wasn't just planning to steal Mason, he had plans for the baby still inside her. Harper felt the ground sway beneath her as the guard's words echoed through the narrow corridor. A birth certificate for a child who hadn't even been born yet. Her unborn baby Derek had already planned to take that life away from her too. She clutched her stomach instinctively, a protective gesture born from pure terror. Mason whimpered in her arms, sensing the tension thickening around them. Donovan stepped forward, his voice low and unwavering. Show me the certificate. The guard handed him a sealed plastic sleeve. Inside lay a crisp document, her name listed as the mother, a blank space where the father's name should have been, and a forged signature Harper had never seen before. Something about it felt clinical, cold, as if her child had been reduced to an item on an order sheet. This was notarized, Donovan murmured, his jaw tightening. Someone with access to state systems helped him. Harper's stomach twisted. Why? Why would he do this to his own children? Derek scoffed from where he was pinned. Own? I didn't want them. They were leverage. Kids get sympathy. They make women easier to control, and people pay a fortune for. A guard slammed him against the hood again. Shut up before I make you. Harper's heart cracked open. Every lie, every cruelty, every bruise, now she saw them clearly. Derek never loved her. He never loved their children. They were pieces in a sick game, weapons he wielded to keep her trapped. Donovan faced her fully. Harper, listen to me. Derek is done. Morgan Pierce won't ever touch you or these children. I'm calling in federal contacts I trust. This ends tonight. Harper's breath shook. What happens now? Now, Donovan said, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. You're coming home with me. To safety, to permanence, to everything you were denied. She swallowed hard, tears burning her eyes. I don't want to be a burden. You're my daughter, he said softly. You could never be a burden. I lost 26 years with you. I will not lose another day. For the first time in years, Harper felt something she'd forgotten existed. Security. Not borrowed. Not conditional. Real. The guard secured Derek in the back of one of the SUVs, his shouts growing distant as the door slammed shut. Sloane stood trembling by the Mercedes, mascara streaking her cheeks. I didn't know, she whispered weakly. I swear I didn't know. Harper looked at her, not with pity but with quiet finality. You helped him hurt people. That's enough. Sloane's expression crumbled as the guards informed her she'd also be questioned as a witness and potential accomplice. Lila, clutching Ava, approached Harper. Thank you, she whispered. If you hadn't come, if you hadn't fought. Harper touched her arm gently. You're not alone anymore. For Ava's sake, don't disappear. Get help. Let people protect you. Lila nodded, tears streaking her face. Donovan gestured toward his SUV. Harper, it's time. Harper strapped Mason into the car seat, her movements steadier than she expected. Donovan opened her door for her, a small but profound gesture, something a father should have been there to do her whole life. As she settled into the seat, she looked back at the storage units, cold metal cages holding stolen futures. Never again. The engine started, humming smoothly beneath them. Donovan glanced at Harper, his voice soft but carrying a promise. Tomorrow, we rebuild your life. You'll have a legal team, a home, security, everything you and your children deserve. Harper nodded, emotional threads pulling tight in her chest. And Derek? Donovan's expression hardened. He will face every consequence, no mercy. Harper closed her eyes, letting out a long, trembling breath. For the first time, she wasn't escaping, she was being rescued. And tomorrow, she would rise. The drive to Donovan's Beverly Hills estate was a blur of lights, winding hills, and the distant hum of a city that had never cared about Harper until tonight. She held Mason's tiny hand as he slept, her fingertips brushing the softness of his skin, grounding her in a world that had nearly been ripped apart. Donovan drove in steady silence, glancing at her through the rearview mirror every so often, as though afraid she might disappear if he looked away too long. When the gates of the Hale estate opened, Harper's breath caught. She had never seen anything like it. The driveway stretched long and curved, lined with lanterns that glowed like warm stars. Marble columns rose at the entrance, and massive glass windows reflected the night sky. It looked like another world, a world she never imagined she could belong to. As the SUV rolled to a stop, staff members hurried out. They wore calm expressions, but moved with quiet urgency, as if briefed on what had happened. A woman in her late 40s approached, kind-eyed and composed. Donovan stepped out first. "Harper," he said gently, "this is Marisol. She's the household director. She'll help you with anything you need." Marisol's face softened when she saw Harper and the sleeping baby. "Let's get you inside, sweetheart. You've had a terrible night." Harper felt herself nod, unable to form words. Her legs wobbled as she stepped out, but Marisol placed an arm around her without hesitation. Donovan retrieved Mason's car seat and followed them inside. The interior was breathtaking: soft lighting, polished wood, quiet hallways, the faint scent of jasmine drifting from somewhere unseen. It wasn't just luxurious, it felt safe, and that alone made Harper's throat tighten with unexpected emotion. Marisol guided her into a private suite. It had its own sitting room, a king bed, a crib already prepared, and a bathroom bigger than Harper's entire living room. She stood frozen in the doorway, feeling like she'd walked into a dream she didn't earn. "Set Mason here," Marisol said, touching the edge of the crib. "I'll bring warm towels and something light to eat." Donovan lingered by the door, holding the metal lockbox from the storage unit. Its presence felt like a shadow. Harper forced herself to meet his eyes. "You didn't have to bring me here," she whispered. "I know this changes your life. I know I'm complicated." Donovan's face softened with something deeper than sympathy. "Harper, I lost the chance to raise you. I lost years I can never get back. Don't deny me the chance to protect you now." She felt her defenses crumble. "Why did my mother tell me you were dead?" He exhaled slowly, his expression tightening with old pain. "Someone wanted me gone, someone powerful, someone who didn't want me to know she was pregnant or that you existed. I spent years digging through lies and dead ends. By the time I found a clue, she was gone." Harper pressed a hand to her chest. "She always said she loved you." Donovan closed his eyes briefly. "I loved her too, more than anything." Silence settled heavy and fragile between them. Then Harper whispered, "Donovan, what happens now? With Derek? With Morgan Pierce? With all of this?" Donovan stepped closer. "Now, we prepare. The evidence we found tonight? Harper, it's only the beginning. Pierce doesn't disappear for a decade unless he's hiding something enormous. Derek wasn't acting alone. This is a network." A tremor ran down her spine. "A network of people who buy children?" Donovan nodded grimly. "And we're going to expose every last one of them." Harper's breath hitched. She wasn't just a survivor anymore. She was at the center of a storm. "But first," Donovan added gently, "you rest. Tomorrow, we fight back, not as victims." His eyes met hers, but as Hale's. Harper clutched the edge of the crib, heart pounding. Because for the first time, she wasn't just escaping evil, she was rising to destroy it. Morning arrived slowly in Donovan Hale's estate, washing the marble floors in soft gold. Harper woke to the gentle hum of quiet luxury fresh linens, filtered sunlight, the distant clink of someone preparing breakfast. For a few seconds, she forgot where she was, forgot the nightmares of the night before. Then she saw Mason sleeping peacefully in the crib beside her, and everything came rushing back. Her children were safe. Derek was locked away. And a war had begun. Harper slipped out of bed, wincing slightly. Pregnancy aches, stress, exhaustion, they clung to her like shadows. She washed her face in the bathroom, staring at the woman in the mirror, bruised, pale, tired, but alive. And for the first time in years, she felt something other than fear humming beneath her skin. Determination. A soft knock sounded at the door. "Come in," she said. Donovan entered, dressed in a slate suit that made him look every inch the billionaire the world knew him as. But his eyes were warm, human, fatherly. "Did you sleep?" he asked. "Some." Harper tugged at her sleeve, suddenly shy. "Thank you for letting us stay. For everything." "You don't thank family," he replied gently. "You just stay." The words hit something deep inside her. She nodded, fighting tears. "We have a lot to cover," he continued. "My legal team is downstairs. The FBI is sending a contact, and we've identified 3 possible locations tied to Morgan Pierce's network." Harper inhaled sharply. "This fast? I move quickly when my daughter is threatened." She hugged herself. I still don't understand why Pierce wanted my children. Why me? Donovan hesitated. Because of me. Harper blinked. What? Donovan paced the room slowly, as if choosing every word with precision. Years ago, Pierce and I invested in a tech company specializing in secure ID systems. When the government got involved, he panicked. He wanted access to classified identification databases, birth certificates, immigration records, adoption papers. I refused. The disagreement became hostile. Harper's heart pounded. You think he targeted me to get to you? I think he wanted leverage. And when he realized I had a daughter, one I didn't know about, he saw opportunity. Harper's stomach twisted. And Derek? A pawn, a greedy, reckless man Pierce could manipulate. Everything slid into place like jagged puzzle pieces. Derek's sudden spending, the mysterious money, his desperation. Donovan stepped closer. Harper, you were never just another victim. Pierce targeted you because of me. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure he never comes near you or your children again. Her throat tightened. I don't want revenge, she whispered. I just want peace. You'll have both, Donovan promised. A knock interrupted them. Marisol peeked inside. Mr. Hale, the team is ready. And Harper, sweetheart, there are clothes for you in the dressing room. Something comfortable, but presentable. Harper frowned. Presentable for what? Marisol smiled softly. You'll see. When Harper entered the dressing room, she gasped. A simple but elegant maternity dress hung on a padded hanger, deep navy with soft fabric that draped beautifully. Beside it lay flat shoes, a warm cardigan, and a handwritten note. For strength, for dignity, for the future that belongs to you. D. Her throat tightened again. She dressed slowly, brushing her fingers over her small but growing bump. Her unborn child kicked gently, as if reminding her she wasn't alone. Downstairs, a conference room buzzed with controlled chaos. Lawyers, investigators, digital analysts. Donovan stood at the head of the table. When Harper entered, the room fell silent. Every eye turned toward her. As if she mattered. As if her voice mattered. As if she mattered. Donovan gestured for her to stand beside him. Everyone, he announced, this is Harper Winslow, my daughter. From this moment forward, everything we do is for her and her children. We are taking down Pierce's network, completely, permanently. Harper swallowed, feeling the entire room's expectations settle on her shoulders. And for the first time in her life, she felt strong enough to carry it. Harper had never stood in a room filled with professionals who spoke in sharp, decisive tones. Lawyers flipped through binders. Analysts traced maps and digital trails. Screens flashed with diagrams, storage unit logs, bank transfers tied to Pierce's shell companies. It felt like stepping into the center of a storm, except this time the storm was on her side. Donovan placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. You're not here to perform, he whispered. You're here because the truth begins with you. Harper nodded, though her stomach fluttered. She'd spent years being silenced. Now everyone seemed to be waiting for her to speak. A woman with short blonde hair, crisp suit, and FBI credentials stepped forward. Miss Winslow, I'm Agent Sutton. First, I want to say I'm sorry. What you've endured is something no one should face. But your involvement is crucial. The file we found last night, those birth certificates, those are patterns we've seen in Pierce's operations before. He targets vulnerable families, often through intermediaries, like Derek. Harper's hands tightened at her sides. He planned to take my children. Why? What does he do with them? Agent Sutton hesitated. We don't always find them in time. A chill ran through Harper's body. She swayed slightly, and Donovan steadied her. But with your testimony, Sutton continued, and the evidence your father's team uncovered, we may finally have enough to dismantle his entire network. Harper lifted her chin, though her heart raced. Tell me what you need. The room shifted into motion. Lawyers asked her to recount the timeline of Derek's behavior when he became secretive, who he contacted, what cash withdrawals she remembered. Analysts brought up financial records showing sudden deposits into Derek's account money he claimed came from bonuses. Donovan's cyber team projected images from the storage unit cameras. Harper forced herself to relive each detail, each bruise, each threat. Each night she went to sleep, terrified Mason would be taken while she was unconscious. Her voice cracked more than once, but she kept going. Donovan stood beside her the entire time. Silent, solid, a presence she leaned on more than she realized. After nearly an hour, Agent Sutton leaned forward. "Miss Winslow, there's one more thing. We traced a call Derek made 3 nights ago. It pinged from a burner phone near the industrial docks. The number belongs to someone using the alias Morgan Pierce. Our teams believe he's preparing to move the next set of children through a shipping container." Harper's heart lurched. "When?" "Soon. Possibly tonight." Harper tightened her arms around herself. "Then go. Find them." Sutton exchanged a look with Donovan. "We will. But there's something else. Pierce knows your name now. He knows Donovan found you. That makes you a target." Harper felt lightheaded. "He wants me?" "Not you," Sutton corrected gently. "Your unborn child." Donovan's hand clenched into a fist beside her. Sutton continued. "Pierce has an obsession with biological lineage and clean medical profiles. Babies tied to wealthy families fetch enormous illegal bids. When he realized who Harper was connected to, the price likely skyrocketed." Harper pressed a shaking hand to her belly. The baby kicked, unaware of the darkness reaching for them. Donovan stepped forward, voice steady but icy. "This ends tonight. Every last one of them is going down." Sutton nodded. "We have a coordinated raid set for midnight, but we need someone who knows Derek's behavior patterns, someone who understands how he thinks." Harper blinked. "You want me to help?" "In a limited, controlled capacity," Sutton said. "But yes." Harper hesitated, but only for a beat. She was done being the hunted. "I'll do it," she said. "Anything to stop him." The decision settled over the room like a quiet vow. Agent Sutton pulled out a folder. "Then there's one more piece you need to know." She slid a photograph across the table. Harper's breath froze in her lungs. The face staring back at her was her mother's. Younger, smiling, but standing next to a man she didn't recognize. And the caption read, "Pierce and Associates, 1998. The room went silent as Harper stared at the photograph. Her mother, young and bright-eyed, stood shoulder to shoulder with a man whose smile didn't reach his eyes. Beneath them, the dated company logo read, "Pierce and Associates." The year 1998 felt like a punch to the gut. That was the same year her mother became pregnant with her. The same year she disappeared from public view. Harper's voice shook. "This can't be real. My mother worked for hospitals, clinics, not with people like him." Agent Sutton folded her arms. She interned at a medical data firm that was later absorbed by Pierce. "We believe she was exposed to information she wasn't supposed to see." Donovan's expression hardened. Pierce was running illegal background operations even then. He used medical databases to scout infants, women, families. Your mother probably uncovered evidence of trafficking. Harper swallowed. The room felt too warm, too bright. "So she wasn't running from you," she whispered to Donovan. "She was running from him." Donovan exhaled shakily. "I should have protected her. I didn't know she was being hunted." Sutton added, "We think Pierce tried to use your mother to access classified data. When she refused, she vanished from the company's record. Shortly after, you were born. And Donovan was told she died alone in an accident. A lie to isolate her. A lie to isolate you." Harper pressed her hand against her mouth. Memories of her mother rushed in, the hurried moves, the hushed phone calls, the way she kept the curtains closed at night. She had been running for years. And Harper never knew. Donovan placed a hand over hers. "Your mother saved you. She never let Pierce find you." Harper met his gaze, her voice trembling. "But now he has." "Not for long," Donovan said. His tone carried steel. Agent Sutton spread new documents across the table. Shipping routes, coordinates, encrypted messages. "Our midnight raid must be flawless. But Harper, there's something only you can confirm." Harper steadied herself. "What is it?" Sutton pointed at a message intercepted from Pierce 2 days earlier. "Transfer priority, infant W1. Source compromised." "W1, Sutton said. "We think it means Winslow." Harper's blood ran cold. "Mason. Or," Donovan added grimly, "your unborn child." Harper's knees nearly buckled, but she forced herself upright. "Tell me what you need." Sutton tapped the photo again. "Pierce believes you've inherited your mother's intelligence. He likes patterns. He repeats them. He'll try to follow the same process he used on her." Harper stared at the image of her mother's smile, soft, trusting, unaware of the danger behind her. So, if we trace her final steps, Sutton continued, we can predict Pierce's next move. That's where you come in. You know her routines, habits, fears. You understand how she thought. Harper nodded slowly. She always kept backup copies of important documents. Hidden places, church basements, old lockers, safety deposit boxes. We moved a lot, but there was one place she always returned to. An old community clinic in Echo Park. She volunteered there when she was pregnant with me. Sutton's eyes sharpened. He's used abandoned clinics before. It's possible he left tools, files, or contacts there. Donovan stepped forward, resolute. We'll go there before the raid. Sutton raised a brow. It's risky. So is breathing, Donovan replied. I'm not losing another woman in my family to Pierce. Harper lifted her chin. We go. Everyone paused at her tone, steady, firm, nothing like the woman who just yesterday had been trembling in a tiny front yard. Harper felt her unborn child shift, as if lending her strength. This wasn't fear anymore. This was purpose. Sutton tucked the photograph back into the file. We move in 1 hour. As the team dispersed, Harper remained still, thinking of her mother, brave, hunted, alone. But Harper wasn't alone. She had Donovan, she had her children, and she had something her mother never had. A chance to end Pierce for good. Donovan approached quietly. Harper, are you sure you're ready? She turned to him, eyes fierce. I'm not ready, she said. I'm willing. And willing was enough to bring a monster to his knees. Night settled over Los Angeles with a heaviness that felt deliberate, as if the city knew what was coming. Harper sat in the back of Donovan's armored SUV, Mason strapped securely beside her, and her unborn child shifting beneath her ribs. She had never been part of something so dangerous, but fear no longer paralyzed her. It sharpened her. Beside her, files lay open, maps of Echo Park, old clinic records, notes scribbled in her mother's handwriting. Donovan's cyber team had restored them after digging through encrypted archives. Harper traced the familiar loops of her mother's script, feeling both comforted and haunted. She always circled the same dates. Donovan observed quietly from the front seat. Checkups, volunteer hours. But look here, he tapped a red dot placed on the clinic blueprint. This room didn't exist in the official layouts. A storage room, Harper murmured. She always kept things in places no one looked twice at. Pierce might have used it, Donovan said. Or left something behind. The SUV turned onto a narrow street, cracked pavement glowing under dim streetlights. The old clinic came into view, abandoned, windows covered with wooden boards, paint peeling from the brick. It didn't look like the place where Harper's mother once laughed and worked and believed in helping people. Now it looked like the kind of place where secrets rotted. Agent Sutton's vehicle arrived behind them, followed by 2 tactical vans. She stepped out, bulletproof vest already strapped on. We sweep quickly, she instructed. Pierce's men have been seen near this neighborhood before. We can't risk getting pinned here. Harper nodded and followed Donovan toward the clinic. The sidewalk cracked under their feet, weeds growing through like stubborn memories. Donovan placed a protective hand at her back. Inside, the air was stale, thick with dust. Old medical posters drooped from walls, furniture lay overturned, and shattered tiles crunched under boots. Flashlights cut through the darkness. Harper, Sutton said gently, try to remember what your mother described. Harper closed her eyes. Her mother's voice rose in her memory. The room with the humming light, the one they said not to enter. Harper opened her eyes. Down the left hallway. They followed her lead. At the end of the corridor stood a locked metal door with no label. A faint vibration hummed behind it like electricity still pulsed through old wires. That's it, Harper whispered. A guard began working the lock. It resisted. Breach it, Donovan ordered. A metal ram struck the door once, twice, until it tore open with a screech. Everyone froze. Inside, the small room was shockingly clean compared to the rest of the building. Stainless steel counters, stacks of empty birth certificate templates, a disconnected computer tower, and a corkboard covered in photographs and notes. Harper stepped forward, breath trapped in her throat. Pictures of women, mothers, infants, highlighted with red markings. And in the center, a photo of her mother holding baby Harper in the hospital. Harper pressed a hand against her mouth to keep from sobbing. Agent Sutton scanned the wall. Pierce has been planning this decades longer than we thought. Donovan clenched his jaw. He never let go of your mother. Harper's hands shook as she touched the edges of the photograph. She was trying to protect me. She hid everything from him. And from me, Donovan said softly, not accusing aching. Before Harper could respond, a guard's voice crackled over the radio. Urgent. Movement outside the clinic. Multiple vehicles approaching fast, no ID tags, no plates. Sutton's expression hardened. Pierce's men. Weapons clicked. Guards took positions. Donovan grabbed Harper's arm, steady but firm. We're leaving. Now. But Harper didn't move. Her eyes locked on one last document pinned to the board, a printed route map ending at the docks. Donovan, she whispered, this is tonight's route, the one Pierce plans to use. Sutton seized it immediately. This is the breakthrough we needed. But then a window shattered in the hallway. A voice echoed from outside. Donovan Hale, a man shouted. Bring me the girl. Harper's blood iced. Pierce had found them. And he wasn't leaving without a fight. Glass rained across the clinic hallway like shards of ice as another window shattered. Harper flinched backward, instinctively shielding her stomach. Donovan stepped in front of her without hesitation, while Agent Sutton raised her weapon and signaled the tactical team to take positions. The air thickened with danger, metallic, electric, and unmistakably real. Outside, footsteps crunched on gravel, then a slow, deliberate clap echoed into the building. Well done, Donovan, a voice called. Smooth, cold, confident. You got farther than last time. Pierce. Harper's breath stopped. Donovan muttered under his breath. He's baiting us. Stay behind me. Agent Sutton crouched near the doorway, signaling her team. Positions 3 and 5 flank routes. Do not let him breach. A guard's voice crackled through Sutton's earpiece. Multiple armed men spreading out, 3 at the north wall, 2 approaching the main entrance. Sutton whispered urgently. He's trying to box us in. Harper felt her pulse in her throat. She clutched the photo of her mother tighter, the paper trembling in her fist. Mason needed her. Her unborn child needed her. But something deeper anchored her feet. She wouldn't run again. Not from him. Not from her past. Another voice shouted from outside, Bring us the girl, Hale, and we'll let the rest of you crawl out alive. Sutton swore under her breath. He wants Harper. He doesn't care about collateral damage. Donovan turned to his daughter, eyes blazing with protectiveness. You're getting out of here. Right now. But Harper shook her head. If we leave, he'll follow me forever. I'm done running. We end this. Not at the cost of your life, Donovan insisted. Before she could argue, the hallway door rattled violently. Shadows moved behind the frosted glass. A guard fired a warning shot. The shadows scattered. Sutton barked orders. Hold positions. They want chaos. Don't give them an opening. Another shatter this time from the back of the clinic. West wall breach. A guard yelled. Pierce's men were closing in fast. Harper's breathing quickened. The old clinic seemed to warp around her, the smell of dust mixing with memory. Her mother's smile flickered in her mind, warm despite the danger she'd faced. I won't let him destroy another generation, Harper whispered. Donovan tightened his jaw. Nobody destroys my family again. Sutton motioned them into the storage room for cover. Barricade, now. 2 guards dragged a metal counter across the doorway. Another stacked crates behind it. Harper crouched behind Donovan as gunfire cracked outside, echoing through the empty hallways. A voice rang out closer this time. You can't hide her forever, Donovan. Her mother tried the same thing. You know how that ended. Harper's blood froze. Donovan gripped her shoulder, grounding her. He lies. He always has. But Pierce's words burrowed deep. The door rammed. The metal barricade groaned. Dust fell from the ceiling. Sutton raised her weapon. They're going to breach. 3 seconds, maybe 4. Harper scanned the room desperately. There had to be something, anything her mother left behind. Then she saw it. A metal lockbox wedged beneath a steel shelf, half hidden in debris. Something tugged at her intuition, memory, or fate. She scrambled to grab it just as the door slammed again. Harper, Donovan hissed, pulling her back, shielding her with his body. The lockbox was heavy, old, but not rusted, almost as though it had been placed there intentionally waiting for her. Sutton yelled, Incoming! The final ram hit. Metal snapped. The barricade slid. Harper clutched the lockbox to her chest. The door burst open, gunfire erupting, shouts filling the room. And just before the smoke swallowed the doorway, Harper heard Pierce's voice with chilling clarity. "Hello, Harper. You look just like your mother did the day she ran from me." And in that moment, Harper realized this confrontation was far more personal and far more dangerous than she ever understood. Gunfire cracked through the doorway, splintering parts of the metal barricade as Harper crouched behind Donovan's back. Smoke from flash grenades drifted into the room, burning her throat. Mason whimpered from the carrier strapped to her chest, and she tightened her grip instinctively, whispering, "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here." But her voice trembled. Pierce stepped into view through the haze. He didn't look like a monster. That made it worse. His gray suit was immaculate, hair slicked back, expression calm, almost pleased. But his eyes were dead, the way a snake's eyes reflected no light. 2 armed men flanked him, scanning the room for targets. Donovan moved in front of Harper with a force that made even Pierce pause. "Hale," Pierce said with a slight smile, "always so noble, so predictable." Donovan's jaw clenched. "Step away from my daughter." Pierce raised a brow. "Your daughter? Interesting claim, considering you refused to acknowledge her mother when it mattered." "That's a lie," Donovan snapped. "Is it?" Pierce moved closer, hands behind his back. "You think you were the only one she came to for help?" Poor woman was drowning in fear. "She begged me to make it stop." Harper's heart thudded. "Stop what?" Pierce's cold gaze slid to her. "Your mother was brilliant, but fragile. She saw things she shouldn't have. She trusted the wrong people. She trusted you, Donovan. You failed her." Donovan lunged before Sutton could stop him, but Pierce's guards raised their guns instantly. One wrong move and bullets would fly. Sutton pulled Donovan back. "Not like this." Pierce chuckled. "Relax. I'm not here to kill anyone, not yet. I'm here for Harper. She belongs to me." Harper's stomach twisted. "I belong to no one." Pierce tilted his head. "Your mother said the same thing right before she disappeared." The words slammed into Harper like a fist. Her breath stuttered, vision swimming as pieces of long-buried fear and memory resurfaced. Her mother crying, locked doors, sudden moves, whispered warnings. "He can't find us, Harper. Never let him find you." Donovan stepped closer to Pierce. "You hunted her. You threatened her." "I protected an asset," Pierce corrected smoothly. "She had information that could ruin me, so I gave her a choice: cooperate or disappear." Harper's voice cracked. "You killed her." Pierce smiled. "I didn't have to. Fear did the job for me." A scream crawled up Harper's throat. Donovan caught her trembling hand and squeezed. Pierce's expression shifted, sharpened. "Now, Harper, you've grown into exactly what I envisioned. Beautiful. Resilient. A perfect vessel for a legacy your mother never fulfilled. Give me the child you carry, and I'll let the rest of them walk away." Harper froze. My child?" Pierce's eyes glowed with something sickening. "Your baby is the one I want, born from intelligence on both sides. Market value through the roof." Donovan lunged again, voice breaking with rage. "I will kill you." Gunfire erupted, Sutton's team engaging Pierce's men from the hallway. The clinic filled with chaos. Sparks flew as bullets ricocheted off metal. Pierce ducked behind a counter, shouting orders to his men. Harper clutched the mysterious lockbox she found earlier, holding it close as she crawled behind a steel cabinet. Her pulse hammered in her ears. She needed to protect Mason. She needed to protect the baby inside her. She needed to survive. Donovan covered her with his body as plaster rained from the ceiling. "Harper," he yelled over the gunfire, "open the lockbox now." Her hands shook violently, but she forced the latch. Inside lay a stack of documents, a small flash drive, and a photograph of her mother holding a newborn. Not Harper. A different baby. Harper gasped. Her own mother had protected another child before her. Another baby Pierce had tried to take. And suddenly Harper understood Pierce's obsession with her family was deeper, older, and far more dangerous than anyone realized. Gunfire thundered as debris rained from the ceiling, but Harper couldn't tear her eyes from the photograph trembling in her hands. The baby in her mother's arms wasn't her. The tiny knitted hat, the date scribbled on the back, the hospital label, all wrong. Donovan crouched beside her, shielding her from stray bullets. "Harper, what is it? What did you find?" Her voice cracked. "This isn't me. She protected another child before me." Donovan blinked, shock flashing in his eyes. Another what child? I don't know, Harper whispered, scanning the photo. But this proves something. Pierce didn't start hunting our family because of me. He's been doing this for decades. He started with her. A bullet slammed into the steel cabinet above them, showering sparks. Donovan grabbed Harper's wrist. Whatever it is, we use it later. Right now, we survive. Pierce's voice cut through the smoke like a knife. Harper, bring me the lockbox, now, or your father dies. Harper peeked past the cabinet. Pierce was crouched behind an overturned exam table, two armed men firing suppressive shots toward Sutton's team. His eyes were fixed on her. Hungry. Calculated. Sutton shouted from the hall, "We need to fall back, they're pushing from the west entrance." But another guard countered, "East corridor compromised, they're circling us." They were being trapped slowly, deliberately. Pierce's tone grew sharper. "Harper, make this easy. Your mother refused to cooperate. She forced my hand. You don't want the same fate." Harper trembled, not from fear, but fury. "You murdered her." Pierce smiled faintly. Fear did most of the work. Donovan surged forward, firing at Pierce's men with lethal precision. "Keep your lies out of her head." The gunfire intensified. Sutton grabbed Harper's arm. "We have to move, room's collapsing." But as Harper stood, clutching Mason and the lockbox, the flash drive tumbled out and skidded across the floor. One of Pierce's men lunged for it. Harper reacted. Without thinking, she kicked it under a metal counter. Pierce roared, "Find that drive." That was enough for Harper to understand. The drive wasn't just evidence. It was leverage. It was everything he'd been chasing. Sutton pulled Harper toward the back exit, while Donovan covered them. Go now." But the moment they reached the doorway, a tall figure stepped into the hall, broad shoulders, armed, blocking their escape. Pierce's second in command. He raised his gun. Harper froze. But before he could fire, a shadow slammed into him from behind. A guard, one of Donovan's younger operatives, tackled him to the floor. The gun clattered away. "Move," the guard shouted, holding the attacker down. "I'll hold him." A gunshot echoed. Harper gasped as the guard slumped, hit in the shoulder. He gritted his teeth. "Go, don't let him take her." Sutton dragged Harper past the fallen guard and into a narrow rear hallway lined with peeling paint. Donovan caught up seconds later, panting, covered in dust. "We're almost to the loading bay," he said. "From there, we reach the convoy." But Harper stopped abruptly. The walls. She recognized them. The numbers scribbled in faded marker. The soft green paint. A door with a broken handle. "I've been here before," she whispered. Donovan frowned. "Harper, my mother brought me here when I was little. She made me memorize the hallway. She said if anything ever happened to her, I should run to this room." Sutton's eyes widened. She hid something here. Harper reached for the doorknob. It stuck, rusted from time. Donovan kicked it open. Inside sat a dusty metal locker. Harper's breath caught. She opened it. Inside were dozens of envelopes, all labeled in her mother's handwriting. For Harper, when you are brave enough to know the truth. Before Harper could touch them, footsteps pounded behind them. Pierce's voice thundered, "Don't move." Donovan moved in front of Harper instantly. Sutton raised her gun. Harper clutched Mason and the lockbox. The air held its breath, because the truth, her mother left behind, was about to collide with the monster who had chased her for decades. Pierce's silhouette filled the doorway, framed by the flickering hallway lights, his gun raised with calm precision. Behind him, two of his men fanned out, weapons aimed at Donovan, Sutton, and Harper. Dust drifted through the air like ash. The metal locker stood open beside Harper, its envelopes glowing softly under the flashlight beam, as if her mother were standing there, urging her forward. Pierce's voice slithered through the room. "Step away from the locker, Harper." Harper held Mason tighter, her heartbeat loud in her ears. "Why? You already took everything from my family. Isn't that enough?" "Not even close," Pierce replied. "Your mother cost me years. She corrupted files, exposed contacts, broke trust. When she ran, I was forced to start over." His eyes darkened. "And now, you're the loose thread. The one I intend to pull." Donovan moved into Pierce's line of sight. "You talk too much for someone about to lose everything." Pierce smirked. "Spoken like a man who thinks the law protects him. But you forget, I don't deal with laws. I deal with leverage. Like your daughter? And her children." Donovan took a step forward, fury radiating from him. You will never touch them. Won't I? Pierce lifted the gun slightly toward Harper. Your wife said the same thing, Donovan. She tried very hard to hide the truth. Harper froze. What truth? Pierce's smile grew. Ah! He hasn't told you everything. Donovan stiffened. Pierce, don't. Pierce gestured lazily with the weapon. Your mother wasn't the only one who ran. Donovan fled too. Not from me, of course no one escapes me, but from the consequences of his ambition. He chose power over family once. Why wouldn't he do it again? That's not true, Donovan growled. But something in his eyes flickered, and Harper felt a sharp twist in her chest. Donovan, what is he talking about? No, Donovan barked, desperate. He's manipulating you. Harper, look at me, none of this. Let her hear it, Pierce interrupted, amused. Let her learn who abandoned her mother first. Harper's fingers tightened around the lockbox. Donovan, Pierce continued, savoring each word. Your father left your mother because he feared what she discovered. He feared losing his empire. When she refused to keep quiet, he walked away. He didn't come looking for you until he found a reason to use you. That's a lie, Donovan thundered. Harper, he's twisting everything. But Harper couldn't breathe. The walls felt smaller, the air thinner. Mason stirred in her arms. Pierce tilted his head. See, she knows. She sees it, just like her mother did. Agent Sutton raised her gun again. Pierce, put the weapon down or we will fire. Oh, please, Pierce scoffed. You think your badge frightens me? You're outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and seconds away from running out of time. He nodded toward the envelope stack. There's something in there I have been searching for since 1999. Hand it to me, Harper, and I'll consider letting your father live. Harper's pulse throbbed behind her eyes. What's inside those envelopes? Names, Pierce replied. Proof. The original list your mother stole from me. Donovan's eyes widened. Harper, don't give him anything. That list is evidence that will destroy him. Pierce's voice dropped to a lethal whisper. It's also the reason she died. The room trembled with tension. Harper stepped backward, eyes darting between Pierce, Donovan, Sutton, and the locker. Her mother's envelopes seemed to glow brighter, as if begging her to choose truth over fear. Pierce lifted the gun directly at her. Last chance, Harper. Harper drew in a shaking breath. She looked at the photo of the unknown infant she found. She looked at the envelopes, labeled in her mother's trembling handwriting. She looked at Donovan, pleading, terrified, desperate. Then she looked at Mason. Her voice cut the room in half. No. Pierce's eyes flared. Wrong answer. Gunfire exploded. And Harper dove behind the locker, clutching her mother's envelopes just as the room erupted in smoke and screams. Gunfire ripped through the room as Harper dove behind the locker, clutching Mason and the envelopes against her chest. The air filled with smoke and screams, Sutton shouting commands, guards firing suppressive rounds, Pierce's men shouting back. Dust rained from the ceiling. The floor vibrated with every impact. Donovan slid beside her, pulling her close with one arm while firing blindly through the smoke with the other. Stay down, Harper, stay down. Mason whimpered, tiny hands gripping her shirt. Harper rocked him despite the chaos, whispering, It's okay, sweetheart. Mommy's here, almost over. A flashbang detonated in the hallway. For a moment, everything went white. Then the world snapped back sharper, louder. Agent Sutton stormed forward with her tactical team. Push in, Pierce is falling back, move. Harper peeked around the locker. Pierce wasn't retreating. He was repositioning, calm, calculated, deliberate. His men provided cover fire as he stepped toward a side exit. He meant to escape. With her mother's envelopes, with the truth. With the last piece of his empire. Not if Harper had anything to say about it. She shoved the lockbox into Donovan's hands. Take this, protect it. Harper, wait. But she was already moving. She darted through the haze. Mason held tight, slipping behind overturned tables and medical carts. She reached the doorway. Pierce was aiming for just seconds before he did. He froze when he saw her blocking his path. Pierce raised his gun. Step aside. Harper's voice didn't waver. You killed my mother. You hunted my family. You tried to steal my children. Her breath trembled, but her stance did not. You get nothing. Pierce's eyes narrowed. You're braver than she was. No, Harper whispered. She was brave enough to run. I'm brave enough to stay. Before he could shoot, Sutton barreled into him from the side. tackling his arm. The gun fired into the ceiling. Donovan rushed in, slamming Pierce against the wall. Guards swarmed, wrestling his men to the ground. A final gunshot cracked, and then silence, thick and absolute. Pierce lay pinned beneath 3 agents, his arms wrenched behind his back, fury twisting his face. "You think this changes anything?" he spat. "There are others, more men, more buyers." Sutton cut him off, slapping cuffs onto his wrists. "Not anymore. We have your lists, your files, your names. Your entire network is done." Harper stepped forward, Mason cradled safely in her arms. She looked Pierce in the eye, the man who destroyed her mother's life. "You lose," she said softly. And for the first time, Pierce's expression faltered. Agents dragged him away. As the smoke cleared, Donovan wrapped Harper in a trembling embrace, swallowing years of grief in one breath. "You saved us," he whispered. "You saved your family." Tears slipped down Harper's cheeks. "I just didn't want to run anymore." "You won't have to," Donovan promised. "Not ever again." 3 months later, Harper stood in a sunlit garden behind Donovan's estate. Mason babbled in the grass beside her while she rocked her newborn daughter Grace Hale Winslow in her arms. Her family, her future, safe. Pierce's empire had collapsed after the raid. International arrests, headlines. Survivors reunited with loved ones. Derek, sentenced to decades in federal prison, tried blaming everyone but himself. No one listened. Justice finally lived where fear once ruled. Harper read the last of her mother's letters that evening, words written for a future her mother never lived to see. "If you are reading this, Harper, it means you survived. And it means you are stronger than I ever was. Do not fear the world. It will bend for you once you stand tall." Harper pressed the letter to her heart. She wasn't just standing tall, she was living free. Donovan approached, gently kissing Grace's forehead. "Harper, whatever you want next, school, work, traveling, even love, you deserve all of it." Harper smiled softly. "I think, for the first time, I believe that." The wind carried the scent of jasmine across the garden. Her mother would have loved this moment. Harper lifted Grace toward the sun, because in the end, light always finds the family's darkness tried to break. So, our story finally comes to an end. And if you are still here, listening until this very moment, then something in Harper's journey must have touched your heart in a way words can't fully explain. Maybe it reminded you of your own strength. Maybe it reminded you of someone you love. Or maybe it reminded you that even in the darkest places, light finds a way in. You know, the Stoic Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." And Harper's entire path shows us exactly that. The pain she faced did not break her, it carved her into someone stronger, someone more awake to her worth. Life will test us, people may fail us. But as the Stoics teach, we cannot always choose our circumstances, only how we rise from them. And maybe tonight, watching this, you needed that reminder. If this story touched you even just a little, let us know. Leave a like, share this with someone who needs strength, and subscribe so you don't miss the next journey we walk together. You're not alone. We're still here with you, always.